I think Father Cole was reading last time, right? So if this is correct, maybe Oliver, would you continue? I think we stopped here before sentence number 4,
I think
right?
that's
Okay. Okay, if you would read this.
okay. So for also having admitted the divine revelation of secret things, revelation, I guess we just say, as the most beautiful standard of truth.
Well, revelations, divine, you say revelations of secret things, right?
Yes.
Well, there's no secret things here. Ekphantorius. Well, what does I don't think is there any hint of it being secret things, because let's maybe double check it. I
That's
think
the
it's just
LSJ. Maybe that's the more pagan definition. That's the more pagan gloss, I think, on that word. And then Lamped just has revelation.
yeah, it's also LSJ has oh right, yes, there's a revealing of secret thing. Yeah, I think yeah, it's reading too much into it. So okay, I got it. At least I understand how you got it. Okay, so okay, and Tina, well, it's a little thing, but some right, it's indefinite pronoun qualifier.
As some most beautiful standard of truth,
Right.
right?
And let's, since we already paused, a Keithan from there. So what does it refer to? Let's remind ourselves.
I think the divine splendors of the previous sentence.
Well, that would be, I think, what would you say, Father Cole?
Well, I was thinking it could be either the Marmarigas, or else it would be Talogia, the writings.
Right. But I think uh, Marmarijas are themselves, I think Marmari, this, how it's, uh, Marmaria are themselves ekphantaria. So it's basically, I think he's referring to them as revelations. And so I think it would make more sense to a Keithan to take from the scriptures, from theologia, meaning holy writ. Uh, and so I think in this sentence, he just refers again to this Marmariga, Fies Marmariga, as ekphantaria.
I see.
And okay. Okay, let's continue.
Let us hasten to guard there.
You take a key with frurin as an qualifying frurin.
I suppose I thought, yeah, I thought it was it refers to a Cathan in the previous line.
Yes, but a key is, I think, is an adverb, right? Or something like that. Adverbial has an adverbial function. And the question is, which verb does it qualify?
Is it with Kamina?
Yeah, I would take it with Kemina. So this whole construction, ta eki Kemina, and then it would be uh, uh, so okay. So how would you construe the whole thing then?
So let us hasten to guard the things remaining there,
A line there, deposited there, something like.
deposited there. Okay.
Mhm.
Let us hasten to guard the things lying there. Um, in themselves.
Well, please note this rough breathing above.
Payout yeah.
Yes. So, but then in themselves would be thus an aftis, and I'm not sure what the meaning then would be.
Right. Yeah, I'm sorry. Please help me with. I'm blanking.
Father Cole, what do you think?
Well, the way I see it, it can refer either to Kimena or to the series of what do you call it? Well, what comes afterward? Aplitinta, amiota, aparatrepta, etc. So in themselves, unmultiplied and not to be diminished, and so on. So I'm not really sure what the meaning would be in either case, but that's the two possibilities that I see. So established in themselves as being, etc., or in themselves, without plurality and so on.
Yeah, well, that's a bit strange. The reflexive pronoun, I think it's Duhla doesn't have reflexive pronoun here, right? So she has just FTs. Uh, uh, um, oh, okay. So right. I think yeah, I see how you say. I think the second option it's more attractive to me, that let's hasten so spare them, and yes, it's portative, it's subjunctive, right? So um, uh, let's keep
No, I think it's just indicative. No. Oh,
spare,
you have. Oh, sorry. I'm looking at Zukla's. It's in Zukla's. There's no. It's Omicron.
right,
Okay.
yes,
Okay.
yes, there
Yeah.
is
Yeah. Forgive me. Yeah.
differences, yes,
Mhm,
yes.
mhm,
And
mhm.
in Zuhla, if you're already looking in Zuhla, it's
Zukla also has the rough breathing. Yeah.
oh, she has half teeth like here.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think yeah, more attractive to take it with uplift and etc. So in themselves. So Oliver, how would you translate this uplift and mute?
Plethynta is without plurality.
Well, no. Right, literally, it means you're right. It's adjectives. These are all three are adjectives, not participles, as they might look. Right, but in this context, without plurality, does it make good sense? Maybe there is some other meaning for because what does it mean to keep them? So are they them things deposited in the Holy Read? How one yes, one meaning which Lampe gives is without plurality, but there's another meaning, I think, which is more fitted, not multiplied, right?
Uh-huh.
So what? So what do you see why it's more fitting? What sense this makes to take it this way?
Yes, because it's a neuter plural.
Right, but
Well,
what would be the meaning? One meaning, the meaning you suggested first, without plurality, uh, doesn't quite fit. I mean, because it's strange to think of things deposited in the Holy Writ, keeping them without plurality. They're kind of plural already. So
right.
but
Uh,
if we take it not multiplied, what how would this make sense? Do you see? Or Father Cole, how would you suggest? Uh,
Well, I don't see what the difference would be between without plurality and unmultiplied. To me, it means more or less the same. I mean, simplicity is the kind of to render the antithesis in a positive using a positive adjective. I would guess simply would be the way to render it. But other than that,
how could they the things deposited there? How could they possibly be multiplied? Can you imagine a situation when they would be multiplied?
well,
confusion, heresy. Is that what you get
yeah,
about?
I suppose, yeah.
What? Say it again.
In the case of heresy or confusion, is that
No,
what?
well, that's too many things. Well,
Yeah.
quite simply, if we add anything to it from ourselves, you see, if there is something in the Holy Scripture and we uh, don't keep it precisely as it is, but add something, make some addition. And now, you see, I gave it some more thought meanwhile, and certainly AFTs being reflexive, I think the best way is to take in ourselves. So
Ourselves.
keep it in ourselves. You know, it's because to have reflexive with this tachymena, it would be strange, really. I think in ourselves would be the best. Keep the things deposited there, namely in the whole in the Holy Writ, in ourselves, are pleasing, not multiplied. In other words, we keep them in ourselves, not adding anything from
Mm,
ourselves,
I
which
see.
which actually clarifies what does it mean to guard, because to
yes,
keep
yeah, yeah.
ruin, not just to keep but to guard, but to guard, of course, first thing we think of uh, things being not guarded, that they can be stolen, but in this case uh, uh, there's another danger of adding something to it, which in would be, of course, strange if some thief would come to add something. But that's what the heretics do. Here, the topic of heresy comes. But you see, there are different ways to distort it. Then the next one, amiota. How would did you translate it already,
Oh,
Oliver?
no, not yet. But so this is the other. So rather than adding, this is taking away. So undiminished.
Right. This would be more clearly analogous to stealing, and then aparatrepta.
I guess unperverted.
Right. So there are three ways to spoil it, right? Uh, to add, to
Subtract.
subtract, and to pervert. Yes. Okay, and then let's continue.
Um, and let's see. Guarding, I guess still referring to we as the subject, right? Frumenoi.
Right, through ruminant. But this can be taken two ways. One way you took it, because through ruminant, what voice is it?
It's passive, right?
No. Well, if it's passive, then I would say you translated it wrongly, but
Oh, right.
because you translated
Is it a deponent verb?
well, that can be easily checked and discovered that it's not. So, but as it stands, what voice is it? You understand the category of voice, right?
Yeah. Well, I suppose it's active then if it's unless it's middle.
Well, okay, let's refresh it. Um, so it is middle passive. You see, in Greek, there is active voice, there's passive voice, there's also middle passive. So that is the form, the grammatical form, middle passive. So middle passive, uh, depending on the context and our interpretation of the context, it can mean, it can have an active meaning, but active middle, meaning active action which has an effect on the actor. That's called middle. But it can also have a passive meaning. It depends on how we interpret it. You, Oliver, as you read it, you interpret it as a middle,
Right.
and that's fine. Although we can discuss. Okay. You interpret it as a middle, but sorry, I take it back. If you interpret it as a middle, how not passive? So how, what sense would you make of this phrase? Antifruraton logian frurumini.
I guess I haven't guarded in our own interest or something like that. That's the sense of the middle. Is that
Well, but
the
if
whole phrase?
if you use it as a middle, you need an object. Object. Whom or what do you guard? Do you see here any candidate for an object?
No, I don't.
Right. So that means that taking it as middle doesn't work here in this particular case. We need to take it as passive.
Passive, okay.
Right. So and then having taken it as passive, what meaning do we get?
So being guarded,
Right.
having
Being
been
guarded, yes.
In the um guarding of the oracles.
Yes, being guarded in the garden of the oracles. Yes, and then we go to the final part of it.
Uh
It's kind of tricky, and I will tell you right away there are two ways to take it. Uh, and here indeed one can take pruriste, it's middle passive again, infinitive. Here, it can be taken both ways, but let's try both ways. Take it as passive and as middle, and we'll get different meanings.
Um, well, I'm stuck on pros auton. Is this for them or how should we translate pros auton?
Pros afton. Father Cole, do you have an idea?
Um, it could be like by them or on account of them
Right.
for their
It's
sake.
yeah, it's pros with genitive. It's reference to an agent, most probable here.
So on account of them, I guess as far as we are able is dunamumenoi.
Well,
That's more like we are made capable or we are strengthened for the sake of,
Okay.
because it's
Oh, I see.
middle passive.
right, but so let's be more explicit about that. So Father Cole did so dinamumeni. Do you take it as middle or as passive?
I take it as passive.
Yes, and then what would be the actor of this?
So we are made able to be protected.
No. What is the who or what is the actor? Not the
Uh,
purpose.
the scriptures, theologia,
How right, but how is it indicated here in the sentence?
alta.
Afton, right. Pros afton, by being enabled by them, right? Namely the oracles. Okay. That's what you meant, Father Cole?
No, I said alta actually, but that's
Oh,
uh,
after, but
no, because that
after.
must be the object of the other verb. Anyway,
Yes, after can be if you have a passive. If you take dinamumeni as passive, which I agree with, so the actor cannot be in the nominative, right, or accusative, whatever it is after. So if it were a middle or
yeah,
active participle, right, then the actor would be in the nominative or in the accusative if it's in direct discourse. But anyway, but here it's passive, so it cannot. The pros of tone is the actor. So being enabled by them, by the oracle. Now here comes the tricky part: isto frurundas afta fruriste. So being enabled is right for the for or for the
For the
purpose.
purpose of.
Right. And now let's unpack, Oliver. What do you make of this to frurundas after fruriste?
So one possible, if we take it as passive, is I guess to be guarded for guarding them.
To be, but frurundas is
Oh, there I see it agrees with auta. So
well,
no,
it's not quite. It's not that it agrees. So, what part of speech it is frurundas?
it is a participle.
Right, and what case?
Isn't it accusative?
Right. So, um, uh, but it and what voice is it?
Active.
Yes, so it's need an object. So what's the most possible object of that?
Auta.
Right. So now, so if so now are you taking fruristen? I forgot. Sorry, you taking it now as middle or passive?
On that, in that first one, I was trying to take phrastai as passive.
Okay, let's take it as passive because so in other words, we taken it's. I would say it's more natural. It's not the only possible. But let's start with this because write a line above frurumini can be only passive. So it's kind of natural to take pruriste here as passive, right? So, and if it's passive, then prosauton vinamumene isto frurisse, and then what would you make of frurundas afta?
Guarding them is the only sense I could make of it.
Yes, yes. So to be guarded, uh, 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 so we are being enabled by them, by the oracle,
To be guarded.
to be guarded as we guard them. So the subject, or the implied subject of frurundas will be we ourselves. So, and in this case, I would take care as explicative. So, in other words, on this reading, the last part would be just unpacking what is said in the previous one. The previous one said, being guarded in the garden of the oracles, namely, being enabled by them to be guarded while we guard them. All right? Uh, but that's not how Thomas Aquinas took it.
Well, so the middle sense, I guess, would be to guard ourselves.
Well, but where do you see ourselves?
Well, I don't, but I thought that was a possible implication of the middle, is that you're doing something for your own interest, or that it's reflexive in some sense.
Well, that would be intransitive to, well, middle doesn't mean necessarily intransitive. Actually, normally it has an object. I cut wood, but I cut it for myself. So I would just, but there's object, wood. I do there's some action, there's an object, but the result of the action is for my own benefit. So that's the thing. So if we take it for Risa as middle, then what would be direct object?
I suppose for fruruntas.
Right, exactly. So and then frurundas, then the actor of frurundas cannot be ourselves anymore, right?
I see.
So so the meaning would be being enabled by them, by the oracle, to guard those who guard them.
I see.
And who would be them? Who would be those then?
People doing the guarding, or the auta is still
the oracles, yes, but who would be frurundas? Who would be? So on this reading, again, we enabled, it's first person plural, dinamumini, enabled by the oracles to guard those who guard the oracles. And who are those who guard the oracles? Whom will be guarding in this? Do you have any thoughts?
The faithful? Is it a more...
Right, close. The doctors of the church, the fathers of the church. So, in other words, on Aquinas' reading, that he takes this, he bases himself, of course, on Latin translation, but I think Latin translation, I'm not sure it as, I forgot, does it exclude the possibility of, well, of course, Latin doesn't have middle voice, but anyway, the punchline that it's a possible reading, although not quite natural, I would say, because as I said, here's frurumini passive, and then here we take it as middle, that namely active. But then the frurundas would be the fathers of the church. So then on this reading, have would be conjunction, would be not explicative. So it would be two. First of all, we ourselves are guarded in our guarding of the oracles. And on top of that, we are enabled by the oracles to guard those who guard the oracles, namely patristic interpretations of the oracle. All right. Any questions about this? Okay, if not, then Father Cole, please.
Tamen uninomena dissolis theotitos estin, osentes theologices hypotypos sessi dia pleonon ecton logion apedixamen, to hyperagathon, to hypertheon, to hyperusion, to hyperzoon, to hypersophon, che osatis hyperochicis estin aphereseos. So the things then which have been united are with regard to the whole Godhead, the whole divine nature, rather.
Well, no, let's, I'm sorry. We need to keep the context in mind because un indicates that he resumes something, or rather sums, kind of sums up something already spoken about. I can't find it immediately, but anyway, do you remember he said somewhere that some things are said about the Godhead or about divinity united in a unified way, right? And some are said discriminately, right? Discreetly. Well, discreetly, not in this sense, but
particularly.
Yes, particular. Yes, here you see it's sentence number 3, line 5, 6, 7. Η θεολογία τάμεν ηνωμένος παραδίδωση, τάδε διακεκριμένος και ούτι τα ηνωμένα διαιρήν θεμητών, ούτι τα διακεκριμένα συγχύν. And here he clarifies what are these inomena. So tamen, so now he says, so keeping that in mind, Father Cole, please try to, maybe you said this, maybe you said it right, but I just heard you not, but can you please repeat how the first part, tamen, I mean, how you translate it?
So regarding the things that are unified in respect of the whole divinity,
well, you say, or you take this as accusative.
phenomena.
Yes. Well, basically, what is the subject of this sentence? You have estin, right? That's the verb. What is the subject?
Dinomena.
Right. And maybe, again, maybe you said it so, but I didn't hear you say it as a subject. It's the way you phrased it. Did you take it as a subject? I'm just I auditory.
I thought so, but perhaps not. I mean, perhaps it wasn't clear. So on the one hand, the things that are united,
yes,
in respect of the whole divinity,
that's possessive. The things of the whole divinity which are united are. estin. Okay.
Okay. Which
So
are you?
that
Yeah, I
that
guess it's pretty similar, but there's a little difference in what you said compared to what I said.
because
So,
I heard you in regard something like you was almost as if you took this star in a manner as concerns as if it were accusative of respect.
no, that wasn't my intention.
Oh, okay, okay.
Okay.
Uh,
Anyway, so yeah, those things of the whole divinity which are united, as
mhm.
we
Ah, ah. Okay, you might say you might place the verb after this parenthetical. Yeah, okay.
okay, as we demonstrated in the theological, I think that's outlines,
Yeah.
through many examples from the scriptures,
Mm-hmm.
namely the uh, the the super good, the super divine, the super being, the super vital, the super wise, and all those things abstracted from the hyperokikes is like the preeminence, the
Yeah,
super
preeminence. Well, yes, I read it in the dictionaries, but I have no clue what it is. Well, I would say transcendent. It's more
transcendent.
also, but at least a little bit clearer. Okay.
Um, okay, so
But,
with
Ephrasios, did you translate it
yes, I
already?
translated it as abstracted, but I mean maybe that's not the best way because I see that there's different. It means like in logic, it means apparently according to LSJ abstraction, but it can also mean carrying off, taking away. Like
Yeah, but what? First of all, it's a noun, right?
yeah,
And
it's
it's
agreeing with
qualified. Yes, with
his hyperarchikis.
yes, yes. Um, and well, to recap a little bit, so you translate it is namely to Iparahab, but uh, I think let's again. I want to stress that uh, these are the complement, or this another word is it's there's the verb estin.
Mhm.
So the united things of the whole divinity are colon uh, uh, to uperagaphon ta 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 ta. So it's just enumeration of what are estin the things united of the holy of the whole divinity. Perhaps you
Mhm.
meant the same, but is it sound? You said namely. There's no namely here. It's just well, it's there's the subject, tamen in a manner. Then there's the verb, and then there's a complement. Ah, ta ta, and then follows the list, right?
Mhm. Yeah,
Okay.
I mean that's you can say namely for that though. I mean like the people who live in my house, namely George and Fred and Sam and so on. I mean,
Well,
that's kind of the same thing, right? The
but
things united,
you need a
namely
verb
this and
here.
that and the other.
You need a verb. The people who live in my house, namely ta 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 are,
Right.
but here are is before that. So here the people who live in my house are. He already introduced the verb. So when you translate it like this, the people who live in my house, namely ta 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 ta, then you need a verb, and then you
Uh,
need something to say are very good people, right? So you need a complement.
I
Uh,
hope,
uh,
yeah.
well, but here the verb estin already has been said. So it would be out of place to say namely, right? So
Okay,
you already
okay.
need to
I
complement.
see. Yeah, thank you.
And here, this is a relative clause, and however many also also esten. So right. So what would be the best meaning for Epheresios here, uh, according to the context? Oliver, do you have any thoughts?
I noticed Lila translated it as remotion, which is a totally obscure word to me, but something like
Okay,
removal.
okay. But okay, let's look at what is listed, because he gave plenty examples. Before he said, basically he says, and everything like that, right? What are these hyperusion, hyperzone? So what is characteristic of what do they have in common, all these attributes?
Are they like negations? I mean, I know that
Yes,
not
exactly.
exactly negation.
They're negations. They're negations because to say that something, I would say good translation be more than living, more than wise. So meaning on the one hand, it's negation. It's not wise. It's more than wise. So then, given that, what would be the best uh, meaning for a Pharisee?
Negation.
Yeah, removal,
Yeah.
removal. He removes by these attributes uh, by being attributed, excuse me, being tautological, yeah, but their attribution removes something. They remove uh, life. They remove wisdom. Yes, that's what they do. Uh, so that's a Pharisees taking away, because apo literally a Pharisees, right? It's taken off, taken away, apo heresies, right? Uh, but they remove not just in apophatic way. So again, apophatic, the same prefix, apo. So uh, uh, negating. So, but it is not just any apheresis, it's hyperochiki apheresis. So why uh, does he call it so? What do you think? Well, hyperochiki has the same uh, prefix or hyper, right? Like all these attributes. So it's not just saying, so simply apophatic attribute would be just, it's not wise, it's not life, it's not, but here it says it's more than life, more than wisdom. So it removes in a transcendent way. So it removes while saying, not just saying that it's not that. So it's not good, but it's bad, right? So if you say something is not good, you can think, well, then it's bad. But no, it's more than good. So it says that it's not just, it not just removes, but it removes in a transcendent way, in lifting way. Uh, so that's what they express by this strange preeminent. I have no clue what this properly means, but in this context, that definitely means, I think, what I said. Where is it? Yes. So it's as distinguished from a mere removal, mere denying of something. It's denying and at the same time affirming that it is something more than what is denied. Not less, but more. You see?
Mhm.
All right. And then Oliver, please take the second part of it.
Oh. Sorry.
Do you have any difficulty with it? Let's share your difficulty.
Oh, I'm just looking at my notes.
So
Uh,
I could feel your pain as Bill Clinton's.
um, so I'm not sure how to take this. Besides which,
Well, meta with genitive. What does it mean? Do you have an idea?
with, I'm not
Yeah, with which.
with which,
Mhm.
with which even, uh,
Well, I think also. So now we need to figure it's elliptical, obviously. So what is implied? We have no verb here, but it's implied. And but basically, with which also what? I mean, before we have
probably
again.
another, I was going to say probably another Estin.
Yes, and Estin and Estin, right. But what
And
else?
Hinamera.
Right, exactly. With which the united things of the whole divinity are also, and then again goes another list, right? But before he gives the list, and the previous one, he generalized it at the very end. Also, tis hyperarchikis estin Pharisaios. Now he begins with generalization. Ta etiologica panda.
All explicable things
No, etiologica,
is not explicable.
etia, what etion, what does it mean?
Cause.
Yes. Uh, so, uh, okay, maybe let's read to the end and then we understand well, let's translate. Have you read it already? Oliver, have
Oh,
you
you
read
mean
it
read
in?
it in Greek? No,
Yeah,
let me read that. Methon kai ta aitiologica panta to agathon to kalon to hon to zoogonon to sophon kai hossa ekton agatho prepon autes doreon he panton agathon aitia kato nomas detai.
yeah. So he has, you see, similar also kind of generalization at the end, but now the generalization at the end helps us to understand what ta etiologica means here, right? So would you try, Oliver, now to translate it?
Um, uh, so should I take the verb first? Kato nomazdatai?
Well, but that's a relative clause, just in
Oh, at
the
the end with osa. Okay.
yeah.
So, uh, besides which, also, yeah, I'm sorry, I'm still not sure about IT.
Well, let's keep this, but yeah, we'll go back. But just continue translating from to
Good.
agathon.
So I assume these are these are terms. That's what the toes mean, right? Is that it's
It can be
quotation
taken two
marks.
ways. It can be as making an abstract noun from so neuter with the article can mean goodness. Agathon, to agathon can mean goodness, but can also mean the word agathon. So
Word,
I'm not
but I
sure
would
what.
say it- so good, beautiful, being, life-giving, life originating,
Yes,
wise, and however many real. Oh, gifts. However many of the
well, begin with the in this relative clause, start with the subject. Always start with the subject because we are bound by the English, the order of words in English, right? Where we need to start with the subject.
I take hosa as the subject, right?
Well, well, you see, the problem is that what then you do with ipandon agathon etia? Because if you take hosa in the subject as a subject, then we are in trouble, I think.
So I take it as the subject.
Yeah, I think we can no we can't find any other job for it, so we better give it this position.
Uh
So then hosa could be taken either of the as the object or as an adverbial in how many ways uh, uh, whatever, it both are good, right? So it can be, in other words, in accusative with katanomazete. Uh, so
so and the cause of um all good things is named.
yeah, so and in however many ways or however many names the cause of all good things is named. To name by name, well, it's what is called inaccusative. So again, either by however many names or in however many ways, hosa, the cause of all good things is named, katonomazete, right?
Right.
Now what we do with this part, ekton agothoprepon aftis dorion.
From the gifts, I'm not sure what to do with autes, but the gifts of it or the gifts of him.
I think it's theotitos. So the good formed gifts of the divinity.
Of the divinity. Thank you.
Well, let's try to find the closest possible referent. It's feminine. Do you have any feminine noun around?
Etia.
Yes.
Ah, I see. So, of the gift
So
it of the cause, um, befitting the good. Proper.
right. But so what does this phrase qualify? Ektona hasoprepon aftis dorion. Uh, any idea? Well, all these names are given to the divinity. Why? According to this part of the sentence. Well,
As
okay.
a gift from the cause of all things that are good.
Well, well, it's given because, well, ekton agathoprekon aftis dorion qualifies katonamazete. How, on what grounds it is this cause of all goods is called all these names. It is called all these names from the gift which it gives, its gifts, the gifts of this cause, which are befitting the good, befitting gifts. In other words, all this, what is listed here, beauty, goodness, being, life, giving of life, wisdom, are the gifts from the divinity, right? The gifts to creatures. And it, the divinity, is the cause, a tier of all these gifts of her, Aftis, Dorion. And because it is the cause, a tier of these gifts, so the creatures, the gifts, the names of the gifts listed before in this part of the sentence are attributed not only to those who receive these gifts, the creatures, but also to the giver of the gifts.
I see.
And then I hope now we can guess what ta etiologica panda means. Like the first list of names, it's pretty similar, at least there's overlap. He is hypersophon in that list, which is by transcendent negation or removal. Here we have the name Agathon. There's hyperagathon. There's Agathon, sorry.
So these are the attributes of the divinity as they are shown forth in the world, as they are caused.
Yes, exactly. Which are gifts of divinity to the creatures, and on that ground attributed to divinity. So there are two ways which give attributes to divinity. One is by transcendent removal, by saying that it's more than good. The other way is calling it good. But these are just two different approaches. In the first case, it is called so as on the way of so-called apophatic theology. But again, it's not just merely apophatic, just negating something, because that would be too little. It's transcendent negation. The other way is calling it what Aquinas called analogy, by analogy. So the creature which received this gift, we see good things around, and then we reason that probably the source of this gift, of these good things, is also good. but of course in a different sense, by analogy. So that's the naming. Another word for this etiologica is by analogy. And now we can see that why at the beginning of this chapter 2, he claimed that having shown that goodness applies to the whole divinity, not to just to any one person of the Trinity. Remember, he was citing the words of Jesus addressed to the rich young man. Why do you call me good? Only God is good. And then Dionysius was also accepting possible objection that then, that God here is the name of the Father. So he brought in other scriptural passages. And but the thing is that he claimed that once you've proven that goodness is attributed unitedly, then any attribute, so now he clarified. So he was claiming there that anything universal is applied united to all three persons. But now it becomes clear why he could claim this, because all these gifts are good. But of course, someone may think, I may think that my life is pretty bad. I am dissatisfied. My life is not good. So in this case, in this sense, it's not so obvious whence evil comes, and to this the whole 4th chapter is devoted in this treatise. But here he is saying that as given by God, all gifts are good. Everything is good. Life is good. Not only good is good. So it's ironic. So he lists good as a separate gift, but also all it's called the cause of all goods. Pandan agathon. So everything which it gives is good. And basically, if one has shown that goodness is applied unitedly to the whole divinity, one has, by the same token, demonstrated that all gifts of God are come from the whole divinity, from the whole Trinity, not from any this or that person of the Trinity. Okay, we're out of time, so we'll take up from here. All right, any questions? But you can also write an email. Well, see you next time.
Bye-bye.